Why do we recommend that you go to a protest with a buddy? Welcome back, everyone, to our ongoing course on safe-ish protesting. We call it safe-ish protesting rather than safe protesting because we don't claim that we can teach anyone how to make a protest they are attending 100% safe. It may not be up to a protester for a protest to be a safe environment. There are people who can choose to make a protest an unsafe environment even if you, as a protester, do absolutely everything right. So this guide is intended to help you protest in a risk-aware, informed fashion in a safe-ish manner. As a reminder, if you are in a hurry to access this content and you do not have time for these videos to come out piece by piece on YouTube, the entire course is available for free as a Google Doc, as an EPUB or ebook, as a PDF, as a 3-hour-long live recorded seminar, and as a set of slides. If you don't have time to wait for these videos to come out because there's an upcoming protest you want to be prepared for, then I'm going to point you to patreon.com/Sanctum of the Craft, where you can download the information for free. And it explores everything from like common injuries obtained at protests to police interrogation tactics to knowing your rights. So lots and lots of detail, like what we recommend that you carry, what we don't recommend you carry, etc. We are eventually going to get into all of that on YouTube as well. But as I said, if you're in a hurry and you don't have time for the prettier edited content to come out on YouTube, then by all means, go check out the free stuff to download. All right, I digress. Let's get into it. While protesting, you may go with an affinity group, a working group, a collective, or as an unaffiliated individual. The vast majority of the people who attended our live seminar on this course intended to go as individuals, not aligned with an affinity group, a collective, or in a working group. I would say that actually the vast majority of people who attend protests go as unaffiliated individuals. I happen to go as part of a medic collective, but that's just me. No matter which way you attend or work at an action, you may wish to go with a buddy. Although some protest guides and or riot street action or protest medicine guides say that you must always go or work with a buddy and that no protester should attend a protest or work without one, that isn't something that I personally agree with. A buddy is not always the same person. It may be someone assigned to you by an affinity group or by a collective or by the organizer of an action. If you are agreeing to work under the auspices of another organizational or command structure, you may not actually have an option about being assigned a buddy, although you always have the option to back out and just not participate. Other times, a buddy may be someone you agree to attend a protest with or work with for the course of an action. You can also make a long-term buddy arrangement with another trusted person. Your buddy does not have to be in any particular role themselves. They may be another protester, a complementary support person, a medic, a supply manager, etc. Once agreeing to work with a buddy, a protester should not separate from their buddy during an action, with the exception of situations in which they have no choice, such as during arrest. If a buddy goes missing, the protest organizers should be alerted. So why work with a buddy? Sometimes more than one set of hands is needed to carry equipment, carry a banner, distribute supplies. A buddy can provide a second set of eyes for scanning for danger. A buddy can guard your back. A buddy can provide a second perspective or opinion. A buddy can help check the equipment. A buddy can help carry the equipment. A buddy can remind you to take breaks. A buddy can prevent someone from taking photos or videos of you. A buddy can document anything that happens to you. A buddy can help you debrief at the end of the day. And a buddy can support your mental and emotional health in the long term. So why to maybe not work in a buddy pair? An incompetent buddy can be worse than protesting or working alone. A buddy who isn't a full partner can be an additional mental or emotional drain, requiring support that they do not provide in exchange. A buddy provides an additional point of failure. Everyone can forget things, but you can't control what your buddy forgets in the pre- or post-action steps. If your buddy runs off to join the protest, the riot, etc., you may be stuck hauling their pack as well as your own. The buddy pair system is like dating. If you have a good partnership, it can be excellent. If not, you're better off single. You need to talk with your buddy before any action. Buddy teams may be agreed upon 1 week or 1 to 2 days before an action, or sometimes on the day of the action itself. If the buddy partnership isn't an established one, before partnering up, there are some things to ask. This is based on Rival from Håkon Geiger's Riot Medicine, but adjusted for general protesting rather than specifically working a protest as a medic. here are some of what we recommend asking your buddy before you get started. What name are you using? What gender and pronouns do you use? What is your primary language? What role are you taking on in this protest? How in it do you want to be? Do you want to be in the thick of the action or hanging near the back? Would you rather be on the street, at the supply station, at the first aid area, etc.? Do you have any other relevant training or experience? Where and when did you train, apprentice, do your residency, etc.? Do you have any relevant disabilities and impairments, reasons you might be targeted, medical issues, medication schedule, or situations that you must avoid? These include asthma, severe allergies, PTSD or CPTSD, diabetes, hyperglycemia or hypoglycemia, pregnancy, menstruation, migraines, etc. Even a bad back is relevant. What risks are you willing to take on? Before a collective assigns a buddy or before a buddy arrangement is made, it should be discussed what each person's willingness is to risk arrest. Are they a citizen? Are they on parole? Have they been arrested before? Do they need to avoid ICE? It should also be discussed what their perspective is on whether or not they will risk physical harm, as well as the level of physical activity they are prepared to take on. And the important questions to ask yourself before working with this person are, do you feel safe with your buddy? Do your roles align with each other? Does your desire to be in a certain place or performing certain actions align with each other? Are you capable of supporting them with their issues that might crop up? Are they capable of supporting you with your issues that might crop up? Are you both on the same page with how to deal with cops, arrest, violence, everything escalating towards a riot, etc.? If these answers do not align, then that buddy partnership will likely not work out, and the organizers, affinity group, collective, etc. should be informed that you need reassignment or to form an agreement with someone else. An action should not partner two people who cannot carry, two people with the same medical condition, like don't partner two people with asthma, two people who are bad at communication, etc. People should be partnered in a complementary fashion, and if you are selecting your own buddy, like independent of any kind of organizational structure, you should take all of this into account when you do. Let's talk about solitary practice. There are many reasons a protester may choose to operate on their own. There may be no affinity groups, collectives, working groups, etc. in your area. You may find it appealing not to have an organizational structure that controls, limits, or directs your actions. There's nothing stopping a person from getting into gear or putting together a kit and going to actions on their own. However, even when operating solo, you still operate within the context of the larger action and will likely need to introduce yourself to the organizers. Unless it's like one of these 10,000 strong protests, you don't need to introduce yourself to the organizers in that case. If it's a much smaller one, then yeah, you should introduce yourself. If you're not just showing up as a protester, but you're showing up as a volunteer with specific skills to offer, you may be expected to declare where you received your training or to prove your capabilities. For example, if you're a volunteer medic, you may face resistance as a medic without a known collective behind you. You may be treated with suspicion that you are an infiltrator or that you just don't know what you're doing. Once connections are formed and you demonstrate your capabilities, you may be called upon for future actions. If you are reliable, predictable, and capable, you may find a collective forms up around you or that you're asked to join one. If you still want to be independent, make that very clear and expect to have some strong boundaries. The disadvantages of working alone include the fact that there is no one to step up for you if you're unable to help and you've made a commitment to be there. You may also feel as though you have to assist with every single action in your area if you are one of the only people who consistently shows up. Both of these can lead to burnout and emotional overcommitment. Things to ask yourself before you work as an individual, independent protester. Are you prepared for being arrested or attacked when you are on your own? Can you carry everything you need? Can you take care of yourself? Really, in an emergency, will you remember to take your medication, drink your water, eat salty snacks, etc.? Are you prepared to handle the entire mental load of whatever role that you're fulfilling? Will you be realistic with your limitations or will you attempt to overreach them? There are many roles an independent protester could consider stepping into. Protests need all kinds of labor. There is nothing wrong with just being a participant, showing up, carrying a sign, chanting along, walking if there's a march, and then going home. We need lots and lots and lots of people doing that, okay? So like the No Kings protest, that was what the vast majority of protesters were doing, and that was fantastic. That is still showing up. However, protests do need more than that. Some roles to look at when you start protesting include, but are not limited to, sign and banner making. At the No Kings Day protest that I attended, there was someone who just showed up with a tent markers and poster board and set up an area for people to make signs who weren't able to bring one from home. And they used all those materials. People lined up and they made signs. Food and water distribution. Again, at the most recent protest that I attended, someone got out like one of those Costco wagons and was just walking along the line of protesters with sealed water bottles and little liquid IV packets. And a lot of people gladly took them because there wasn't any food and water set up to be distributed by the organizers. That's a person who showed up and helped out. Set up and tear down of stations, legal support and jail support. There are more roles than this, like medic, phone monitor, counselor, and press liaison, but those ones all require much more specific training. A new protester can decide they want to do those things, but they should work to be trained in how to do so before showing up and just stepping into that role. Although we will not tell people who are disabled not to protest, as the vast majority of our collective is disabled and also neurodivergent. I am disabled. I am neurodivergent. I still work protests. We will say there are roles that support protests that don't involve having to be at the protest. There are exceedingly important roles that do not require long hours of standing, walking, risk of exposure to communicable illnesses and diseases, risk of arrest without access to medication, and risk of exposure to chemical weaponry. One of our volunteers has told us that the street riot protest and action medic principle of don't make another patient has been instrumental in helping them accept that their role might not be as a protester, but as support for a protest. That volunteer edited the print version of this information that went out on our Patreon, which is going to benefit many protests without them needing to endanger their health by being in active attendance. I can no longer do black bloc work at protests due to my own disabilities, but I can train other medics. I can run a medic base camp. I can still be there providing medic support. I just can't be in the block anymore. My health no longer permits. All of these roles are extremely valuable and needed. We recommend that you pick the contribution to the cause that is right for you. You know what's right for you. So, find a role that you can fulfill and step up into it. So here's my question for all of you. How do you feel about independent people showing up and helping out? I'm not talking about people showing up with a sign and marching or standing with everyone else. I mean people showing up with their med kit, people showing up with food and water to distribute, people showing up with sign-making supplies. Are you in favor or are you opposed? Because I've witnessed a lot of drama recently debating back and forth about how people feel about independents showing up and setting up and helping out. And saying essentially if they're not affiliated with a collective or an affinity group or a working group, then we don't trust these people. But if you witness them doing good work, do you think they should show up and help? All right, that's my question for all of you. Anyway, please remember to like, subscribe, share our content with people that you feel might benefit from it. Maybe go check out our Patreon at patreon.com/Sanctum of the Craft. And as always, be safe out there, everyone.